least 4 people have been killed after 14-year-old students opened fire at a high school in Winder, Georgia, in the United States. Among those killed were 2 students and 2 teachers. 8 other students and a teacher were flown by helicopter from the scene of the incident and taken to hospital after sustaining injuries. The suspect, identified as Colt Gray, has been taken into custody, and officials say he will be prosecuted as an adult with murder.
At approximately 10:20 a.m. this morning, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office received alerts about reports of an active shooter and radio traffic from school resource officers concerning the same concern, or having the same concern. Within minutes, law enforcement was on scene, as well as 2 school resource officers assigned here to the school who immediately encountered the subject within just minutes of this report going out. Once they encountered the subject immediately surrendered to these officers, and he was taken into custody. There are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 are students and 2 are teachers here at the school. The shooter is in custody. His name is Colt, that's C-O-L-T, Gray. He is a 14-year-old student here at the school, G-R-A-Y. He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Again, he has been taken into custody. He will be charged with murder, and he will be tried as an adult.
But as we are closed, our central offices will remain open, where we will have grief counseling available for our community every day this week and thereafter, as we support each other through this terrible event.
Obviously, the shooter was armed, and our school resource officer engaged him, and the shooter quickly realized that if he did not give up, that it would end with an OIS, or an officer-involved shooting. He gave up, got on the ground, and the deputy took him into custody.
Vice President Kamala Harris has condemned the shooting in Georgia, calling it yet another senseless tragedy in the country. She made this known at a campaign rally in Northampton. The Vice President expressed her condolences to the families of the victims, indicating gun violence must be put to an end in the United States.
You know, our hearts are with all the students, the teachers, and their families, of course. And we are grateful to the first responders and the law enforcement that were on the scene. But this is just a senseless tragedy on top of so many senseless tragedies. And it's just outrageous that every day in our country, in the United States of America, that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive. It's senseless. It is. We've got to stop it. And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. You know, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. So we will continue, of course, to send our prayers and our thoughts to the families and all those who were affected, including, you know, I'm going off script right now, but listen, I mean, you know, at the last year, I started a college tour. And I traveled our country meeting with our young leaders, right? And so it was college-age young leaders. So I did trade schools, colleges, universities, community colleges. By the way, I love Gen Z. I just love Gen Z. Right? But I'll tell you, one of the things that I asked every time I went to the auditorium, and it would be filled with these young leaders, students, and I'd ask them, raise your hand if at any point between kindergarten and 12th grade you had to endure an active shooter drill. And for the young leaders who are here who are raising their hand, I'm telling you, every time the auditorium was packed and almost every hand went up. You know, a lot of us, I'll speak about myself, you know, we had, well, I grew up in California, earthquake drills, we had fire drills, but our kids are sitting in a classroom where they should be fulfilling their God-given potential, and some part of their big, beautiful brain is concerned about a shooter busting through the door of the classroom. It does not have to be this way.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and residents in Georgia are still trying to make sense of the incident as mourners gathered for a vigil to honor the deceased. Recounting their experience, some students say that they were shaken by the shooting. Others noted America has failed as society. Authorities say the weapon used by the shooter was an assault-style rifle.
I know that goes to the school still, and I call him, he answers, he starts talking, I hear his voice, I start crying, he's so calm, and like I knew it was like adrenaline and stuff, but I like start crying, I'm like I was really like really shaken up about it.
I had a bad feeling something was going on because I seen more than 7 SROs, which are officers in our school, with the principal, and you know, with that being said, I had a bad feeling that something was going on, and I went back to class and I told my friend in class, I said I had a bad feeling something going on, and after I said that, I heard about 6 shots ring, and we didn't know what was going on. We thought it was people in the building who were working for school, and then we heard another shot go off, and then we knew it wasn't any type of, you know, somebody working. We knew that it was gunshots. But we closed the doors, and we told everybody to get up against the wall, and next thing you know, we hear another shot go off, and then another one, and then after that, we hear the cops in the hallway running, so, you know, telling people to get on the floor. They were trying to look for the suspect. But after that, you know, it was a while, I say a good 40 minutes before they came back, and they banged on the door. They broke into the door and then asked everybody if they were safe, if we knew each other, if anybody was injured. Then we closed the door back, and about 20 minutes later, they came back and escorted us back up to the football field. On the way back, down the hall, I could see them transporting the body, and it was one of our coaches. And it's just a sad day for a lot of our students, sad days for a lot of our staff, and it just wasn't a wonderful day. It wasn't something we were expecting. Our school goes through, you know, having officers in school on a daily, to see this go down, it just wasn't, it was traumatizing.
Our Washington correspondent Maria Bird joins us now for more. Maria, we do understand the 14-year-old boy who shot the 2 students and 2 teachers will be charged as an adult. Why is this the case since he's only a minor?
The United States is once again suffering from another mass shooting at a school. This is the first one this school year. The school year began just a few weeks ago in many states, and some states are even just starting this week. But this mass shooting in Georgia has many very concerned. It is clear that what is happening right now is something that was unprecedented and unexpected. At this time, what we're seeing is that this young man will be potentially charged as an adult. It's due to the type of crime, even though he's under the age of 14. There's also additional investigations being done to find out if there was anyone else a part of this that could be over the age of 18. But due to the type of crime and where potentially if he is convicted, he would have to be held, this is considered an adult crime.
The FBI did interview him in 2023 about anonymous online threats. What are authorities saying about the motive of this attack?
The authorities are continuing to investigate this, and the FBI, as you stated, did do an interview with him in 2023. This interview obviously showed that there were some signs of some things that were occurring that weren't, there seemed to be infatuation with bombs, with violence, with guns, all the things that obviously someone at that age would not be allowed to utilize, and also the types of messaging. And so his online community is showing that he has had an interest in these types of potentially threats, and obviously also making him focus again on other mass shootings that have happened in the past. So they're going to continue to investigate to see if the motives are anything in addition to what they did find out in 2023. But there will be a couple more days and weeks ahead before we find out the full impact, just due to the fact that many things have to be kept closed and sealed at this time until we get through the charges and obviously him being brought to court.
Yes, and Vice President Kamala Harris, we heard her addressing the issue at her rally earlier. She did condemn the shooting. Many wonder if this renews her calls for a stricter gun control policy.
Gun control has continued to be a major concern. It goes back to the Brady Bill, which is decades ago at this time. We know that the Second Amendment right, the right to bear arms, is something that has been up for debate. We know that during this election season, this is definitely a big cause of concern for many. We know that this is something, especially when we talk about a minor. And the real question is the types of guns that are being allowed to be purchased in the U.S. And obviously this one, in this case, was illegally obtained by this young man. And so this is going to bring forth again, Senate to be calling for action to be done, especially the Democrats will be calling for action to be done. As you said, the presidential candidate and current Vice President Kamala Harris has spoken out on this, and this will continue to be something that she will focus in on as she looks to express to her voters her position on gun violence and gun control policies needed in the U.S.
Right. Thanks again, Maria. Conversation continues. Now, an armed man has been shot dead by German police near the Nazi Documentation Center and Israeli consulate in the southern city of Munich. The man, identified by police as an 18-year-old Austrian national, was hit during an exchange of fire with officers. Police said a man had been spotted in the area carrying a long firearm. 5 officers then exchanged fire with their service weapons. The Israeli consulate was closed at the time for a memorial service marking the 52nd anniversary of the 1972 Munich Olympics attack by Palestinian militants, which killed 11 Israeli athletes and a police officer. French President Emmanuel Macron has named Michel Barnier as Prime Minister almost 2 months after France's snap elections ended in a political deadlock. The 73-year-old has been around these circles before, but not in French government. He's a former EU chief negotiator for Brexit. He led talks with the UK government between 2016 and 2019. A veteran of the right-wing Republican Party, he's had a long political career, hailed with various senior posts both in France and also in the EU. He'll now have to form a government that can survive a National Assembly divided into 3 big political blocs, with none able to form a clear majority. Known in France as Monsieur Brexit, Mr. Barnier will be France's oldest prime minister. He is 73 years old, since the Fifth Republic came into being in 1958. More than 30 people have been injured and multiple arrests made after thousands of activists gathered in front of Congress in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to protest against President Javier Milei's planned veto of pension increases. Activists held placards reading, "Don't kill us with sticks or starvation." Among others, police were seen using pepper spray to disperse the activists. Just last week, the president announced he would veto a full new formula to increase pensions after the upper house of Congress approved the new mechanism. Milei recently called lawmakers financial degenerates and accused them of trying to destroy his economic austerity program, which he says is needed to rebuild the country's finances. Argentina's Senate had planned to raise pensions by over 8% in order to compensate for inflation and provide guarantees that the minimum pension would be enough to afford essential goods. Well, for Nigerians, President Bola Tinubu has been at the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, which kicked off in Beijing, to bringing together African leaders for a summit aimed at strengthening ties. During the 3-day summit, leaders of African countries will be talking about cooperation over the next few years on areas including agriculture, security, and industrialization. During the opening ceremony, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu commended the flourishing economic partnership between Africa and China, which has seen trade between the two regions reaching an estimated $280 billion. President Tinubu said despite global challenges, the partnership has remained firm. He also emphasized the importance of maintaining the momentum in order to deepen the partnership for the mutual benefit of both regions.
A landmark of our relationship came in year 2000 with the establishment of the FOCA. This platform has been pivotal in strengthening our economic ties and reaffirming our commitment to mutual progress. Despite the global challenges we face, whether the economic or geographical, our partnership has stood firm, resolute, and offering a powerful example of what can be achieved through respect for sovereignty and non-interference. One of the highest highlights of this collaboration has been the flourishing economic partnership. Trade between Africa and China has grown exponentially, reaching an estimated $280 billion US. These impressive figures speak volumes about the strength of our economic relationship and expanding integration of our market. I say, China's Belt and Road Initiative, align with the Africans' own infrastructure goals under African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. Meanwhile, back home, the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted thunderstorms and rainy weather across various parts of the country from September 4 to September 6. Light to moderate rain is to be experienced in parts of the north-central region, including the Federal Capital Territory. In a weather update released on September 3rd, NIMET predicted morning thunderstorms in parts of Borno, Jigawa, Yobe, Adamawa, Taraba, Kano, Katsina, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Sokoto states. The agency is also appealing to residents to avoid flood-prone areas, warning of potential urban flooding and strong winds in areas prone to thunderstorms. We have an update on a story brought to you earlier in the week. A Ugandan athlete who was allegedly set on fire by her ex-boyfriend. Unfortunately, Rebecca Cheptegei has succumbed to her burns and died in hospital in Nairobi, Kenya. The 33-year-old marathon runner who competed in the recent Paris Olympics suffered extensive burns after Sunday's attack. Authorities in northwest Kenya, where Cheptegei lived and trained, said she was targeted after returning home from church with her two daughters. A report filed by a local administrator alleged the athlete and her ex-partner had been wrangling over a piece of land. Police say an investigation is underway. My colleague Layo Olarinde had a chance to speak with Kenyan journalist Sarah Sombati about the latest.
Actually, since the morning when the news broke out that she had passed on and that the hospital where she was admitted, everyone, there was so much reaction, negative reaction towards the issue from the government officials in Kenya here. The Ugandan officials also issued a statement condemning the death, calling for thorough investigation into the matter. It's outrage to say the little because no one expected that she could die in such a way because she was a strong athlete that everyone had hope that she will make it by kind of more in this area.
So what do we know about the alleged attacker, the ex-boyfriend? We understand that he was also admitted to hospital suffering from burns as well.
Yeah, the man is also in hospital. Right now, police are saying it's a murder suspect, an arson and a murder. And we understand that the man had actually started differing with the woman, the athlete, because of a piece of land which they were arguing over in the same area where Cheptegei had bought. It's actually like Cheptegei's money that bought the piece of land. Because the area is in Kenya, but it's neighboring Uganda. It's near Ugandan border. So there was a dispute over a piece of land which both owned. And this Sunday, when they came from church, the kind of quarrel went further, and it became now violent, and part of it turned out to be. The man himself is a Kenyan, and he suffered much burn. He's in the hospital. The police are saying that he's a suspect for this at this moment, and we hope that he makes it through, or he recovers, so that he can also face charges in court as they are planning to.
Well, talking about facing charges, the police say that an investigation is underway. Talk to us what we can expect from this and, the consequences of this action if he's eventually found guilty.
Well, probably it's a murder probe. It's a murder charge that is likely to face, and then arson, because he burned the girl and he burned the household where they were staying together. Murder is a serious charge here in Kenya and in other parts of the world. I say no, because he may be jailed for life in that case. Also, arson may carry up to 20 years. So he's staring at a long sentence in jail, and given that he's burnt also and he's suffering so much burns, almost 20% as they are saying, and given his age more than 30 years, the doctors hope that he will pull through.
All right then. Oh, Rebecca was a Ugandan athlete. Have we heard from authorities in the neighboring country?
Yeah, the Ugandan athletic agency issued a statement in the morning condemning mourning the death, and also calling for further and thorough investigation into the issue. Many more athletes are sending the condolences from Uganda itself and locally. Uganda, the fact that the matter is still under investigation, so we believe that both governments are talking on the issue, and they are solving them. They agreeing on the way forward. That's the investigation, and then we plan, or maybe burial of the lady and other plans ahead.
All right, Cyrus. Attacks on women in Kenya seem to be on the rise. This is not the first of its kind. We've seen Agnes Tirop, that was killed by her husband in 2021, and Damaris Mutua, killed by a boyfriend as well, in 2022. We also have the issue of that serial killer who escaped police custody and, is still on the loose. What are authorities really doing to nip this in the bud?
Well, there's a debate currently about the issue of femicide in Kenya, because many feel that women are being targeted, and especially in the athletics world now, with what's happening, Europe, and then there's Mutua, and now this Cheptegei. There's a debate, and people are trying to say that there's need for criminalizing the whole issue of the femicide. That may take a time to come up with such a law, because the matter has to go to parliament for it to be debated and approved. But then there's a general feeling that women are weak, and susceptible to be killed. So there's need for stringent measures to tame the crime itself targeting women. It's an issue of concern, actually, among men here.
United Nations peacekeeping force in the Democratic Republic of Congo has expressed concern about developments at a prison in the capital city, Kinshasa. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said MONUSCO welcomes the opening of an inquiry by the authorities, but calls on them to bring justice to those responsible for crimes and human rights violations.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, our human rights colleagues from the peacekeeping mission there tell us they're concerned by developments at a prison in the capital city of Kinshasa. According to Congolese authorities, during an escape attempt earlier this week, dozens of inmates were killed, including by bullets and by being trampled. Our colleagues say that prior to these events, more than 15,000 people were held at this prison, which was built to accommodate only 1,500 inmates. They welcome the opening of an inquiry by the authorities and call on them to bring to justice those responsible for crimes and human rights violations. As part of its mandate, the UN Human Rights Office in the Democratic Republic of Congo stands ready to provide assistance if so requested by national judicial authorities.
We have cheery news from South Africa, which is celebrating Heritage Month with the Reconceptualization Art Exhibition featuring artists from South Africa, Botswana, Ghana and Zimbabwe. Those behind the event say it does not only showcase the rich artistic traditions of the continent, but provides a unique lens into the broader economic and cultural impacts of the art industry. Our South Africa correspondent Innocent Samosa is our guide.
This month, South Africa's Colour of Africa is celebrating Heritage Month with its Reconceptualization Art Exhibition. The organizer, Ivy Ratlamfu, says it is more than just a showcase of artistic talent, but a significant culture and economic phenomenon.
The show is called Colors of Africa, Reconceptualized. It's a traveling exhibition. So it started off in Zimbabwe, whereby it really looks into encapsulating not only just Zimbabwean artists in celebrating really the color of life, but neighboring countries like Mozambican artists, Nigerian, Ghanaian.
Deputy Dean at the Chinhoyi University of Technology in Zimbabwe, Julius Chengentai, says this will influence local economies by boosting tourism, creating jobs, and driving spending in surrounding areas.
We should now go beyond theory and be into the practical work and produce, innovate, and then industrialize. So even at university, this is like a publication. Instead of writing a journal paper, I'm showing that what I'm teaching is what I'm doing.
Art is increasingly being seen not just as a cultural asset, but as a financial one. Collectors and investors alike are treating artworks as valuable assets that can appreciate over time.
The digital space actually also helps to better our work in a way. I think it also challenges us also to think creatively and to also enhance our work as well.
Since I started understanding the artwork by traveling to most of the West African countries. So I use the ECOWAS community, which is where I'm coming from as West Africa. So I started traveling to Nigeria, Togo, Benin.
Digital technology is also playing a transformative role in the art world. From virtual galleries to online auctions, technology is changing how art is brought, sold, and also experienced. Now, artists say these innovations are reshaping the market and the future of the art sector. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
One final treat before we end the program today. Students at the Instituto Nuestra Señora in Grand Burge, Argentina have made a huge bottle cap mosaic depicting Pope Francis drinking traditional yerba mate infusion as seen in their school courtyard on Wednesday. These are really magnificent pictures. Drone footage shows students organizing and placing colored bottle caps on the floor, while others are seen reaching into boxes and passing liquids around as they work on individual sections of the mosaic. One participant claimed the project measures 17 meters by 19 meters and was made by using 260,000 bottle caps that were painted individually to achieve the overall effect. It took more than 4 hours of work for 150 students from 9 classes to complete the mosaic. The Pope is currently touring the Asia-Pacific with one of his key messages on spreading awareness about climate change. Now that truly is a work of art, painstaking work of art, I might add. Thanks for watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani.